let's start with, how did you end up where you are? Because this is about people of Utah. How did you get to be here in Utah? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, I was born and raised in Utah primarily. Both my parents are from Denver, Colorado area. After my dad's mission, they both moved to BYU. They got their degrees there. I came into the picture, so I was born in Provo. I've lived in a bunch of different countries, summer sales, but I've always ended up coming back. I think mainly just because of the mountains, the geography. It's so beautiful in Utah, so
Okay.
there's
Yeah.
always fun things to do.
So you're well traveled, but you end up back in Utah. I mean, school is a big factor. Is your family still live in Utah? Did they move to Texas? Did they move back? Right.
They moved to Texas when I was living in Japan on my mission.
Right.
Then I moved to Texas, but then I moved back to Utah to continue my degree at UVU, and so they moved back to Utah too. They followed me.
They're following you, bro. You're setting the pace, bro.
Exactly. They followed me back.
What's your degree in?
Psychology is the major, and then cognitive neuroscience is the minor.
I knew that. That's sick, bro.
Yeah.
That's a waste.
So, but I'm shooting for a master's at the very least after this. So I'm just taking a year off to work and stuff.
Dope.
But after that, if I continue on, then I do a PhD in cognitive neuroscience, and I would just be a cognitive neuroscientist or neuropsychologist.
So what does that mean for, like, I've never heard of this. I know what you're talking about.
So neuroscience is the brain, right? The nervous system. So the brain, the spinal cord, everything that a human does comes from the nervous system. So that's neuroscience. And then the cognitive part of it is frontal lobe. It's us making our own decisions, being human beings.
That sounds way cool, actually.
Cognitive neuroscience, simple terms, it's the brain and behavior and how they're related.
Okay, so like psychology, but also like the physical science of the brain.
Exactly, the physical science of psychology.
Do you listen to Andrew Huberman at all? The Huberman Lab?
I have heard of him many times.
Bro, this is up your alley.
I
bro.
know. I tell people that, and they go right to him, and I've never listened to it. I should.
Okay, so yeah, the gist of it, he's like a professor of something. It's ophthalmology, like your eyes, but also like neuroscience, something with your brain.
Yeah.
And he has like a podcast, and he's like way cool.
Yeah,
Basically, he's like, I'm a scientist, and a lot of scientists know lots of things, but the public doesn't know about them, and so I just want to like bridge the gap between like what we scientists know and what the public knows. Because us scientists are always reading these research papers, but regular everyday people aren't reading research papers. So I'm just going to put it into regular people talk for you guys to hear. And it's pretty sweet. Dude.
It's way sweet. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that I've learned that I would have no idea. Because there's like meninges, part of the protective layer of the brain. They just found a new meninge after all these decades of having brain surgery. You'd think they would have found it already, but no, they just found it.
So how did you end up deciding to do that? Did you like decide that like a year ago, 2 years ago? You always wanted to do that? How did you find yourself there?
No, so I originally wanted to be either an anesthesiologist or a cardiologist because when I was 14 and 16, I had heart surgery.
Yeah, heart problem.
Yeah, so I had 2 heart surgeries and I wanted to go into the field and help other people like I was helped. But I've always also been really good at psychology, just helping people in general. In high school, I was part of Hope Squad, suicide prevention. So I've always kind of been that person for my friends that they can come to and I can, talk through their feelings with them. I'm really good at it.
Approachable. I like that.
Yeah, so, but in college was kind of hard for the first couple of years because it wasn't anything interesting. But once I actually got into the deeper part of psychology, the higher level classes, started to really like it. And then I got into neuroscience on top of that. So neuroscience is the last 2 years, but really the last year has been super neuroscience. Yeah.
So how long until you get your bachelor's degree, and where are you going to go for your master's?
So I already have my bachelor's degree.
Oh, what? You're in grad school right now?
I haven't applied, but I'm going to start applying in the next month or two. I'm just waiting for the next fall semester to start back up so I can talk to my professors and kind of pick their brains a little bit. But yeah, I'm just in that little phase in between bachelor's and master's.
See, I took a break. I took like a year and a half break from college too for summer sales.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Ethan and I, we lived in Spanish Fork together. The promised land, dude. I love Spanish Fork.
It was smaller back then.
It's way smaller. It's like doubled in size. high school, and then summer sales and stuff. But I haven't seen you much since we did summer sales. Did you take a break from school to do summer sales, or did you just kind of like go for the summer and pop right?
The first time I did, I dropped out actually. I've dropped out 3 separate times.
Nice.
We made it. We made it. Once I finally decided what I want to do.
Yeah.
But no, the second time I went out, it was just over the summer. I didn't drop out or anything.
Okay. Wow, dude. Yeah. So I want to know, Ethan, what is your earliest memory?
It's kind of hard to think back like that, but I think the earliest memory I can possibly think of, I was actually living in Ohio at the time.
I didn't know you lived in Ohio.
Yeah, I used to live in Ohio when my dad was getting his law degree.
Oh yeah, he's a lawyer.
Yeah. So in Ohio, I think I was maybe 3. I was pretty dang young. But I remember hanging out with my mom outside. I was just running around. She was planting flowers on the side of the house. Our house didn't have a back fence, just side fences, and it opened up to a gigantic forest.
Oh, dope! I love those type of houses.
Yeah, so it was the house, the backyard, and then just like unkempt forest, But it was getting later at night, so it's kind of like a double whammy because I remember the same day twice.
Okay.
But I was just sitting there and I was digging and kind of like playing with worms because there was a lot of earthworms there. And then that night we went back outside to just run around and there were a bunch of fireflies. And that was the first time I ever saw fireflies.
That is way cool. Okay, so what part of Ohio did you live in?
Lima, Ohio. It's kind of like central Ohio.
So like north of. Let me think. So I know where Cincinnati and Columbus are.
Right.
Yeah, pull it up on your phone. I want to.
Yeah. No, it's been a long time, man. Lima, Ohio, huh?
Yeah. Do you remember when we were in Columbus for a week?
Yeah. Dude, wild times, man.
Dude, Columbus. I actually hated Columbus. Like, I think out of all the places that I did sales, I think Columbus was like one of my least favorites.
Yeah, I didn't like it very much. Okay, so Cleveland is like all the way northern. Columbus, Ohio is right dead center. Okay. It's in the upper left-hand corner of Ohio. That's Columbus.
Yeah.
Lima's way up here.
Oh, so like by Indiana?
Yeah, pretty close to like Fort Wayne, Indiana, a little bit.
Love that. Okay. Oh, dude, that's just like a middle of nowhere random like
it is
area.
No, there's a small like law school there.
Dope.
But yeah, that's where my dad went for law school. So
where have you lived? You've lived in a lot of places, bro.
I kind of have, man. I've lived in Utah, Texas, Indiana, Ohio, Japan, 5 different cities in Japan, Colorado, and Oregon, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. That's living. That's not like visiting. That's like you lived there, right?
Right. I mean, summer sales, we only lived there for sometimes. Sure. I wouldn't probably count Ohio if it was summer sales, but given that I actually lived there when I was younger, like Oregon, we were there for a couple of months and stuff, so yeah.
Dang, dude. Well traveled, okay.
Quite a few places I've lived.
Tell us about your family. Where do you fit in, and what are they all up to? Where are they at?
Sure. So we got mom and dad. Then I have one older brother, one older sister, and then it's me. And then I have a younger brother and 2 younger sisters. So together, there's 8 of us. 3 daughters, 3 sons, mom and dad. So
dog and cat?
We have cats now, but at the time we had one male, 1 female dog.
There you go.
Yeah, no, it was pretty dang even, honestly. And my mom, she is a nurse, so she's doing that. Older brother, he just does gymnastics.
Doesn't he own a gym, right?
Well, we sold the gym.
Okay.
We sold the gym. He still works there. He still manages it, but we sold that. He owns his own little like farming business right now. So he does plant starts, like all organic plant starts, and then he sells those, so tomatoes and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, dude.
He's doing that with his best friend. Older sister passed away when I was 11 months old. She was 3.
I've heard a couple little things about that story, like here and there, I think from your mom.
Oh, yeah?
Would you want to share that story or just...
No, I don't mind. Yeah. I'm an open book.
Okay, tell me about that, bro.
Yeah, so I mean, she was ran over by a big truck. There were people that were moving nearby, and she was on her little tricycle. My parents were preoccupied. I was 11 months old, so I think my mom was just like inside with me. So people in the neighborhood were moving out. She was nearby, just riding her tricycle in the road, and somebody was driving past, and they were like, "Okay, stay on the side of the road, like stay on the grass," like calling to her. But they had to back up, right, out of their garage, and the neighbor like dropped something, like glass or something, scared her, so she triked into the road, and while they were backing out, she got ran over.
Oh man.
Yeah, so pretty traumatic, honestly, for my parents and my older brother. I mean, I was 11 months old, so.
But I feel like that is worse than like, you know how like often infants will die like at childbirth or like after being born for a few days. I feel like once you've like lived for a couple of years, I think having your baby die after a few years is way harder and way more sad. Like,
Oh yeah, no, it's insane. My parents have actually been on a TV show. I don't think it ever aired, but they at least came and shot at our house for couples that have gone through super traumatic things and stayed together, because it's such like a crazy experience to have gone through and still stay married. But it kind of shaped how my family was. I have two younger sisters so she was my older sister. I was already born. My mom had my younger brother, but wanted a daughter. So then she had my younger sister, but she wanted an insurance policy, so she had yet another daughter.
That's such a bad way to describe it, but it's valid.
It really is what it is. She even knows it, but...
Okay. Well, and that's impressive, too, to, like, have kids again after you already have a couple kids, and after that traumatic event. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm pretty sure I was supposed to be the last one. I think they, like, originally planned on 3, and then that happened, and it became 5, technically 6, but...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, crazy.
Okay, so then that kind of leads me into another question I wanted to ask you, which is how has faith and belief in a higher power impacted your life, if at all?
Ooh, I mean, being raised in Utah for the majority of my life and having gone on an LDS mission, it's definitely been a pretty big aspect of my life. I won't lie and say that I haven't been, like, good at it. I've been less active for quite some time. I'm kind of getting back into it right now, actually. Kind of having a little spiritual awakening myself. But it gives me, if anything, a lot of perspective, because when you look at life, day-to-day life, and kind of just like earthly things to buy, earthly things to do, job, work, whatever.
Yeah.
You kind of can get lost in the sauce of just life, But when you think from like a godly perspective, and like there's a heaven, there's things after this life, it helps me like slow down and appreciate things a lot more, and helps me want to help other people because I see them as like brothers and sisters in Christ. And so, no, it's definitely shaped who I am as a person.
Okay. I like that perspective. I like that a lot. And with, with this event of your sister and stuff, is that I'm sure also been, I feel like that's something very hard for anybody growing up to know about. And so has that kind of helped you in your life, thinking about your sister, believing that, there's a possibility for you to see her again?
Well, absolutely. I mean, kind of two things. The first thing is I realized that, life can end at any moment, right? Then obviously previously I said I had 2 heart surgeries, and I lived through those, and it just gave me the perspective of I'm living on borrowed time, or the rest of my life I should just try to enjoy life and not take things too seriously, even though the world's kind of crazy right now. Yeah, I mean, I have a tattoo that even says live life dangerously, which goes to show that I try to do crazy things.
Is it in Japanese?
It is in Japanese. I see that.
Yeah. I was like,
because of my mission in Japan, so...
Well, that's a great perspective. I think that you recognize, like life is short and you're living on borrowed time with your heart surgeries, but you're also being like, I don't know what the word is.
Yeah, I'm focusing and prioritizing beautiful experiences, trying to enrich my life with different experiences. I would rather go out in the mountains and just like take a second to breathe from everyday life than, do something crazy like go out and drink with friends or something that's fleeting, So I take like experiences and try to learn and grow from that.
Okay, I love that. How many times have you hiked Timp? I feel like I see on my Instagram you're always like hiking a mountain, like all the time.
I never hiked the same mountain twice.
Really? What?
Yeah, so every single one of those
these are all different mountains.
They're different mountains.
Okay, never mind.
I've hiked Nebo, I've hiked Timp, Lone Peak.
What's the one you hiked the other day where you brought oxygen tanks? I saw
Yeah.
with Joey Buck and Guts.
Guts, yeah. So that's in New Mexico.
Oh dang, dude!
Because that's where Joey is right now.
Oh, okay.
It's called Trucius Peak. It's the second highest peak in New Mexico by like 50 feet.
Oh, okay. So it's
Barely not the highest, right?
basically the highest point.
Pretty much the highest point in New Mexico.
Okay.
But yeah, it's over 13,000 feet, and the oxygen content was like 12.7% when usually it's 21, so it's about half.
I just remembered, you also have asthma, right?
I have asthma. Yeah, asthma, heart problem. Oh yeah.
You're crazy. Okay.
I am.
Dang,
I live
dude.
life dangerously.
There you go.
Yeah, I do. I expected to take my inhaler a lot, but I didn't because of the oxygen.
Right, you had the tanks.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet, bro.
Yeah, I didn't know that it worked that well, but it helps with headaches and everything.
Interesting. Okay. So I want to talk more about that. What does that mean to you? Live life dangerously. You've got that inked on you. That's something that you believe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, tell me more about that and what that means.
Yeah, so I guess technically in Japanese it's Seikatsu wa Bokenda, which translates literally to normal everyday life. Like your wake up, going to sleep, waking up, going to sleep. Your normal day-to-day life is an adventure, right? That's what it literally translates to. So
Okay.
life is an adventure is what it literally translates to. But it also takes on the meaning of live life dangerously. Because boken can be adventure or danger.
Okay.
But yeah, it just goes back to like trying to experience as many crazy things as possible. I mean, I have a massive bucket list of things I want to do. I want to travel to every country on earth. Something crazy I want to do. And yeah, I don't know. I think life is about traveling and learning and then meeting people along the way and making friends and just, yeah.
I love that. And I think, like, I totally see that. Like, at least from my perspective, like,
Right.
from what I've seen in my life doing social media, I've seen you go to South America. I've seen you go on, like, a Europe trip for a while last year. Like,
Yeah.
just from, like, observing your life on the outside, I definitely see you doing that stuff. The whole, like, gymnastics thing. You are, like,
Right.
you're the next Pitbull. You're Mr. Worldwide. You know?
I'm trying to be. I'm really trying to be, you know?
That's sick, bro. Okay, I love that. What do you think the world will look like in 20 years? I want to hear what you think.
Controversial, man.
Okay.
I don't know. I think,
Hot take.
yeah, as at least America, we're kind of crashing as a society.
It's scary to read the news, man.
Yeah, to even look at the news, but yeah, I don't know. We're not necessarily the world power we used to be as far as, you know, leading in healthcare and financial stability and everything like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if, unfortunately, there's some bigger wars and things that happen and go on. It's just sad. It's scary for me to even like consider bringing children into the world based off of where it's going right now. So
You are not alone in that line of thinking, man.
Yeah.
That is a topic that has been around forever. And yeah, I feel
Absolutely.
like just things get crazier and crazier. That's valid. Huh?
if I had to hedge my bets, I'd say that it's going downhill.
Okay.
That's where I'll put it.
Well, that's valid, and I'm sure there's plenty of dots you could connect to prove your point. You know?
Yeah.
I feel that. I want to know this. Who do you think has been the most important person in your life?
See, I read that question when you gave it to me, and it was kind of hard. Because, I mean, I think it is like a mix of maybe my mom and dad. My mom is the adventurous person, so, you know, she's the one that says you can go do hard things, go be who you want to be. My dad is probably the hardest worker I've ever seen in my life. He's shown me that I actually can go and do whatever I want to and be whatever I want to be, just because I've seen him do it, you know? I don't know. It's cliche to say, but I feel like if you're not saying yourself is very important to you as one of the most important people in your lives, then I think you're doing yourself a disservice. I'm going to be a therapist, you know. It's kind of my job to think like that, you know.
Yeah, no, I like that.
But I think besides my parents, you know, my close friends, obviously I would have to just put myself up there, because if I can't trust myself and grow and become an adult and learn what I want to do and everything, then how could I possibly, live a good, beautiful life that I want to.
Yeah.
So I think I'm pretty important to myself.
Good.
I don't know.
So what do you hope to accomplish in your life?
Yeah, the biggest thing that I could ever accomplish in life besides, having a family of my own, I would love to start a nonprofit organization and just travel the world helping people. Whether it's with therapy education or, building houses for the poor or something, whatever it is, if I ever like made it rich and I could do whatever I wanted, I would turn that into a charity of some kind.
Okay. So yeah, if money was not an option, if you never had to worry about money, what would you spend your time doing?
Just seeing the world, traveling, Yeah, travel, meeting new people. Because I've been on at least 2 quote unquote vacations where really I went to that country and I just served the people there. One of them I helped renovate a school. The other one I helped build a hospital. Both of them down south. One in Ecuador, one in Peru. But those are probably my most fond memories of travel. Just because I actually got to see the people and help the people and see life through their eyes. It gives you a lot of perspective, especially in second, third world countries when, people don't have anything and you have it all. So
That's true. That's valid. I like that a lot. It's tough to get caught up in like the type of life we live. Like we are in the top 1% of, people in the world, right? Like we are like so blessed. It's crazy, right?
Right.
So it's sometimes you think about that. I saw this meme. It was like me explaining to someone like it's like me in heaven explaining how bad my company's work from home policy is to someone who was like I don't know, like some like 12th century Roman citizen who was killed for stealing bread or something.
Oh,
it's
yeah, like you give them a Cheeto and they'd freaking die.
Yeah, yeah. It's like my work from home policy sucked, and there's people who are just like, I don't know, like
what does that even mean?
The crazy worst lies. Yeah, yeah. So.
And it's sad because you go to like 12th century or something, but when you travel the world, you see that a lot of the countries in the world are actually there right now.
Yeah,
it's tough.
We are lucky to be like like you said, the very front of technology and that kind of thing. That's true. Have you been to Africa?
No, I want to.
You've been to Asia, South America, Europe.
Yeah, 4 of the continents.
I've never done Africa either, but I feel like that would be very interesting.
Yeah, okay. I'd love to.
How about this, Ethan? If you could go back in time and give yourself advice, what advice would you say to yourself?
Most people would say go buy Bitcoin.
Dude. Okay, you gotta go on a tangent right now, bro. This fires me up. I was just talking about this the other day. So when I was in, were you at ALA in junior high?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So I don't know if it was 7th or 8th grade or...
Brings me back.
We watched CNN Student News every day.
Okay, yeah.
And one time they were talking about Bitcoin and how they're like, oh, there's a store in New York now and you can buy your Subway sandwich with Bitcoin. It's like 14 Bitcoin to buy a Subway sandwich or something, right? And like you can pay with your phone.
Dude, imagine,
I think that was before the days of Apple Pay and all that stuff, but I was like, no way.
Oh, for sure.
Like digital currency, like that's the future. That's so cool. And I remember I was like, Dad, like I heard about Bitcoin today. Like we should buy Bitcoin. Like I remember I was like, Dad, like
no way.
Like can you buy me a Bitcoin? Just because I think it'd be so cool to have like digital currency. And then I don't know, I forgot about it and I was just like whatever. And then like 10 years later, dude, one Bitcoin's like 40 grand. I'm like, dude, if my dad spent $5 or it is less than that, I don't know, on a Bitcoin for me when I said to in junior high, bro, do you know how nice that would be?
Oh,
golly.
Dude. If you stuck it out to the end, it was like 80, 90,000.
Oh, I didn't know it, guys. I don't know where it was at.
Oh, it went way high for a while there. Yeah, but like most people would probably say that, but oh man, that one's also a really hard one. I would just tell myself to enjoy life a little more. When I'm younger, I enjoyed my life a lot when I was young, but I don't know. I feel like we take life for granted. There's been a lot of my life where I'm looking towards the next big thing, and I'm not living in the present.
That is great advice, dude. Yeah, for sure. You're like, oh, I'll be happy once I do this.
Graduate.
I'll be happy once I get there.
Make it on my job, or I'll be happy once I get that fancy Rolex I
Yeah,
wanted or
it's
whatever.
so easy to think like that. That's great
Yeah.
advice. Yeah.
So I would just tell myself live more in the present and kind of enjoy it because adulthood comes really fast.
And dude, you still are young. Don't say when you're younger because you're freaking what? You're 20 or you're 20s with me, right? What?
I'm 26.
26. Yeah, what are you talking about,
I-
young bro? Come on, we
I
got
know I'm
so much
young,
time. I know what you mean, and it's easy to like, yeah, stress yourself out thinking about, and like you said, I just think the craziness of the world. But yeah, just
Oh yeah, no, it's impossible to make it anywhere in this economy.
dude, don't get me started, dude. You know what else? Like, I feel like the way of life here in America is so different in terms of just like this general attitude of go go go. Like you can sleep when you're dead. Like,
Right.
but like I feel like other countries are way more about like what you said, like enjoying life and just relaxing and like
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, Japan is way up there as far as like the economy goes and just businesses in general. One of the things I heard about the Japanese day is in some companies there, it's actually okay to take a random nap in the middle of the day during work hours because the executives know that if you value your time while you're working and you take like a 1 hour nap, when you wake up, you're going to be like 3 times as productive as you would have been if you're just slogging it throughout the entire day.
yeah.
I think America is just slogging it through life.
100%.
It's always trying to make it rich, make it famous, make it something. No one, stops to go appreciate the sunrise or whatever.
And like there's trade-offs because if it wasn't for that type of attitude that a lot of Americans have, we wouldn't have like Amazon and Jeff Bezos and being able to
That's
just buy
true.
whatever we want to our door. We wouldn't have Elon Musk and electric cars. You know what I mean? So like those type of things I feel like have come from people who were just go 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 till they die. But I feel like we in America live to work, and that's like our accomplishment in life.
Right.
Is just like your career accomplishment. That's all there is to life. But like you said, other places like you work to live. Like your life is outside of work. Your life is not your career. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And I mean, I think that's a major failure in American society because a lot of those conveniences that have been made from the American dream of being able to buy anything you want on Amazon, having it shipped in one day, the internet, being able to look up anything at any time, has kind of ruined the human experience a little bit
Yeah.
because now everybody just rushes to the next thing and no one appreciates it. So it's great, but it's kind of the downfall a little bit. Like they invented TikTok and now look where our kids are at.
Yes, dude. Yes. Like
It's not all good in the world.
yes, it's the instant gratification, right? It's like
Yeah.
our brains, evolutionarily speaking, are designed to have like rewards and dopamine come after work and after doing hard
Right.
things. That's what got humans to exist today. But now, like I said, we get things delivered to us, handed to us. We get to work from home, and I'm so glad I get that. I'm so glad I don't have to be a pioneer and walk
Yeah,
across
no,
the country.
definitely we're
like,
blessed.
I'm so glad they have that. But evolutionarily speaking, like it totally messes with our brain. Like
Oh, yeah.
we get all our dopamine laying in bed on our phone in the morning instead of like having to go do the hard things. And so then
Yeah, it's all
actual
artificial.
life. Yes, and then real life is not as fun because you're like, why would I go out and do this and do that? Well, I can just get all my dopamine here on my phone, right?
Well,
and so
I mean,
it messes us up.
You literally just described the reason why there's so much depression in the world these days. It's all artificial dopamine and neurons. They can have neuroplasticity. They can,
Yeah,
bend and change, and so you can have more dopamine, and so because you have more dopamine, your brain is going to expect a higher dose of it for you to actually hit that like dopamine high of happiness, and it's just this downward spiral of you need to doom scroll on your phone for longer and longer to get the dopamine you need required to just not be depressed.
Love that. Yeah. Well, and I took this class, evolutionary medicine, just like it was like the coolest class I've ever taken. But yeah, I think like depression and anxiety levels are like highest in first world countries and here in America and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I think a lot of it has to do with what we talked about, which is like the way of life is like, dude, if you're not like, if you're not like grinding yourself to death, working hard, then you're a failure, you know? But
Yeah,
also
from that
like
perspective.
the way we get our dopamine, right? The way we get our reward system in our brain comes to us way easier.
Right.
And that makes regular life, having to do regular tasks, less fun and more sad, because like going to the grocery store, going and doing this, doing that is just not as rewarding as being in bed on my phone. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's America, but it's even worse in Utah specifically. You know, Utah people, because we're actually known as Happy Valley, but in psychology, it's actually kind of a like a gut shot, because we're Happy Valley because we are one of the highest populations when it comes to depression and needing to take happy pills, right? The Happy Valley, right? Yeah, there's some schools in Utah Valley that have the highest suicide rates in
Yeah.
like all of America, you know?
Oh, I didn't know that bad, but no, I've heard of like suicide rates in Utah are way bad.
It's really bad. So it's not just America, it's even more specifically Utah. And I think it's a mix of just, you know, how we are as humans, as well as I think there's a higher pressure spiritually here, as like with the culture.
Yeah.
It's really sad. People just don't have perspective. They
Yeah.
don't take time to think things through.
And comparison, right? Social media, like Instagram, influencers and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just my perspective or what, but I just feel like, dude, Utah is so freaking full of influencers. And everybody's just comparing themselves to these influencers. They're comparing their other people's highlights to your like everyday lows. And you're like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, my life isn't that cool all the time. Dude, no one's is.
I mean, everybody does that. I'm no different. I mean, I post on Instagram whenever I go on a vacation.
Sure, I love Instagram, I love social media, but if you don't acknowledge it as like a facade and like I'm looking at like people's highlights and stuff, I'm not looking at their everyday normal life.
Right.
If you have that perspective, it's great and it's fun and I love Instagram. But like
Yeah.
if you have an unhealthy, you know, attitude or mindset towards that and you are just full of comparison, it can be a miserable place.
No, I love that.
Okay, Ethan, what's one thing that you wish people knew about you?
One thing that I wish people knew about me. That's kind of hard because I'm honestly an open book, you know. I feel like the thing that people don't know most about me that I wish people just innately knew is how easy it is to come talk to me.
Okay.
Because I feel like I have a good perspective on life. I've helped a lot of people with a lot of different things. I love helping people. I don't think people in general go out of their way to ask for help enough. So I wish everybody knew that I'm like always there to help them, especially my friends, because I hate seeing people struggle.
That's tricky to kind of build that sort of vibe for people to come to, because it's like if you're a stranger and I don't know you, it's like I
Right.
can't just trust you with my life.
Right.
And also if I've been your friend for so many years, it's also like, oh, it's kind of weird for me to like talk to him.
I don't
about
wanna be
this or
judged,
that, and I
or-
don't want like so
Yeah.
I like that. And I think, you know, you're heading in the right direction for sure. I see you as a very easygoing, chill, approachable person, and like what you're
I
studying,
certainly
like
am.
down to life, man. Living life dangerously, of course.
Yes.
What do you do for work right now, by the way?
Just kind of construction here and there. You know, I'm enjoying my summer for once in my life, so
What's a failure that you turned into a success?
I think the biggest failure I've ever had in my life was summer sales. By far. I mean, I traveled, I had a good time. I like turned something bad into something good, but I didn't really make any money out there. I was in a pretty dark place because, like I previously said, I don't take kindly to people like yelling at me. I'm very like open, outgoing, you know? So it just gave me anxiety, and I hadn't really ever had like that type of anxiety in my life before. So yeah, I didn't make a lot of money. I kind of ran away from it, and then I went back a second time, but then I ended up being the servicer rather than the person who sells. So, you know, financially kind of a failure, but I think I learned a lot. I turned it into a stepping stone, like something for success, because I learned a lot about my priorities and what I actually care about in the world, you know. I kind of see money as the root of all evil, you know. Everybody ends up changing when they make it super rich. And so I kind of stopped focusing so much on the money and more the experiencing and just kind of loving and living life and making good connections and friendships with people. And if I become a therapist, it's not like a lot of money, but it's at least satisfying work.
That's
You
what
know?
matters. Yeah, I
And
love that.
so I might not own a jet when I die, but I'll own a lot of really beautiful experiences.
Okay, I love that. I had a similar experience because I had never really experienced like that type of anxiety as I did like my first summer doing summer sales. Like I went on a mission and I like left home, like I never got homesick like genuinely, and I just like I don't know, I've always just been like kind of chill, go with it. But like dude, I experienced like crazy anxiety that I had never experienced before. It was like a totally new emotion and I was trying to like describe it to people. They're like, that's anxiety. And I'm like, dude, like I feel like it's I feel like that. This is crazy. And like I would have like a hard time breathing. I had like a couple panic attacks I had never had before ever. I remember like sitting in the car one time with James Fox, and it was like during the day, and we were like be done, and I was like, he was trying to talk to me. I'm like, wait, 1 second, and I was like freaking out. And he's like, bro, what's wrong? And I'm like, 1 second, and I just had like tears coming down my eyes. I'm like, wait, and then I'm like, okay. I can talk. Like go for it. I just like had experienced like the feeling. And there were sometimes I'd knock on doors and like my lungs would hurt, and I'm like I had to like almost whisper just to talk because like my lungs are being squeezed by anxiety. So yeah, dude, you're not alone in those type of feelings.
There'd be days when I would walk around all day, not knock on a single door, but be forced to stay in the neighborhood to make it look like I was knocking because you would get some people get mad at you if you weren't knocking all day long and trying to get that bread and be the next best like salesman on planet Earth. And
Yeah.
it was good that they like tried to push you, but it went way beyond what I ever imagined or cared to respect.
Yeah. No, I have some strong thoughts on that too, dude. I'm on the exact same page. I
So
think, yeah. It's
no,
brutal.
it was definitely a failure of an experience, but I made it worth my time, and it ended up becoming a very good, valuable life lesson on what I care about,
Yeah.
and when I do have money, what to spend it on.
Love that, dude. Okay. In closing, Ethan, I want to know, what impact do you want to leave on others before you die?
I just want people to like realize that life isn't all that bad, because I mean it is crazy out here, especially in America, but all over the world. It's just kind of wild these days. I would want to just leave the impact of knowing that it doesn't take some grand venture to be happy. It's all about the small things, and if I could just leave the slightest impact of having slightly changed someone's life by changing their perspective, then I would be happy. Just a little smile on their face, to change the outcome of their entire life, because I think there's a lot of doomsday thinking these days, and not everything is bad. You just gotta look to the small things and go hike a mountain or something.
Heck yeah. Okay. Well, I love that, man. Ethan, you're the best, bro.
Yes,
Thanks for
sir.
coming. We
Yeah.
gotta do this again sometime. I want to have you come back on the pod at some point and see if your answers are any different and see what happens. But
Yeah, absolutely. No,
appreciate
that'd
you
be
coming,
fun.
bro.
Yeah, thanks.
Have a good one.